In a small, peaceful village surrounded by green fields, there lived an elderly woman named Grace. She'd once been known for her wisdom and kindness, always ready to help anyone in need. Over the years, though, time had taken its toll. A long time ago, Mama Grace had lost her eyesight due to an illness, but even though she could no longer see, she remained strong, her spirit still full of love, especially for her only son, Ben. Ben had always been the center of Grace's life. She had raised him with love and care, and seeing him grow into a responsible, hard-working man brought her great joy. The villagers admired Ben not just for his work ethic, but for the way he took care of his mother. Even when she could no longer care for herself, Ben never stopped showing his love and respect for her. When Ben reached the age of marriage, he met a woman named Rose from a neighboring village. Rose was beautiful, with sharp features and a gentle voice. To the outside world, she seemed perfect for Ben, kind and caring. But beneath her beauty and sweetness, Rose was hiding a deep bitterness, especially toward her mother-in-law, Grace. The moment Rose moved into their home after the wedding, her resentment toward the elderly woman began to show. To Rose, her mother-in-law Grace was nothing but a burden. Every morning, Rose would watch with a tight smile as Ben helped his mother get out of bed, made her breakfast, and spent time with her before leaving for work. Ben worked long hours as a carpenter, often leaving early and coming back late. At home, Rose would act like the perfect daughter-in-law, speaking kindly and attending to her needs. But when Ben was at work, Rose's true nature began to show. She made her mother-in-law do things that were nearly impossible for a blind woman. Things like washing dishes, cleaning the floors, and cooking. Rose didn't care that mother-in-law's hands trembled or that she often stumbled and fell. At first, the cruelty was small and unnoticed. Rose would leave sharp objects on the floor, knowing that her mother-in-law would trip over them. She would laugh cruelly when Mama Grace broke a dish. "You're useless," Rose would mutter under her breath. "What good are you if you can't even wash a plate?" The old mother, though fragile and often in pain from the falls, never complained. She loved her son too much to burden him with the truth. She quietly endured Rose's cruelty. Old Mother held on to the hope that one day Ben would see through Rose's mask, but she feared the pain it would cause him. As the months went by, Rose's resentment grew, and she started resenting Ben as well. In her eyes, he was too blind to see how much old woman was ruining their lives. Every time Ben came home and gave his mother attention, Rose's anger boiled over. One day, Rose's cruelty reached new heights. She was tired of pretending to be a kind daughter-in-law, tired of watching Ben give all his attention to his old mother. Rose decided it was time to get rid of the old woman. That night, as Ben kissed her goodbye the next morning, Rose smiled sweetly and promised to take care of her mother-in-law. But as soon as Ben left for work, Rose began putting her plan into motion. She had gotten her hands on a dangerous herb from an old villager, one that could cause a slow, undetectable death. Rose mixed it into the stew she made for her mother-in-law. When the meal was ready, Rose carried it to Mother-in-law, who was sitting in her usual corner, humming a lullaby from when Ben was a child. "Mother-in-law, I've brought you something special today," Rose said with false sweetness. The old woman smiled, grateful. "Thank you, Rose. You're so kind." Rose's stomach churned as she looked at the elderly woman. How could she still believe that Rose cared for her? With a twisted smile, Rose raised the spoon to her mother-in-law's lips, ready to feed her the poisoned stew. But just as the spoon was about to touch the old woman's lips, the door creaked open. Ben stood in the doorway, shocked and pale. He had forgotten his tools and had come back earlier than usual. For a moment, Ben stood frozen in disbelief, watching his wife, the woman he loved and trusted, about to harm his mother. "What are you doing, Rose?" Ben's voice was filled with anger and shock. Rose froze, the spoon still hovering above old mother's lips. She turned to Ben, her face twisted in rage. "She's a burden, Ben," Rose shouted. "Can't you see? She's ruining everything. She's nothing but dead weight. I'm just trying to make things easier for us." Ben's heart shattered. The woman he trusted had been hiding such cruelty behind a mask of kindness. He rushed to his mother, cradling her frail body in his arms. "Mother, I'm so sorry," Ben whispered, tears streaming down his face. "How could you do this, Rose? She's my mother. She's done nothing but love us both." The old mother, though blind, could hear the pain in Ben's voice. She reached out with trembling hands, trying to comfort him. "Don't cry, Ben," she whispered. "I'm fine." Ben wasn't fine. His heart was broken by the betrayal. He turned to Rose, his voice shaking but firm. "You were supposed to be a part of this family," he said. "You were supposed to love and care for her, but you've destroyed everything." Rose tried to explain herself, but Ben was beyond hearing it. He took her by the arm and dragged her out of the house. "You have no place in this home," he said, his voice steady despite the heartbreak. "You have no place in our lives." Rose was cast out, and the village soon heard of her wickedness. She was shunned by everyone and forced to wander alone. From that day on, Ben devoted himself to his mother Grace. Their bond grew stronger, built on love and trust, and old Mother Grace, though blind and frail, continued to be the loving, wise woman she had always been, teaching Ben the true meaning of kindness. What did you think of old Mother Grace's story? Did it touch your heart the way it did ours? Share your thoughts in the comments below. What would you have done in Ben's place? And if you've ever experienced a story of kindness or betrayal like this, we'd love to hear about it. Your insights mean so much, and they help us grow as a community. Let us know.